Now, the tale of the World Championship tape for both men, 18 Crucible appearances for Ball Run, only 2 for Jack, which makes it all the more impressive that he's made his first semi-final here already. I hasten to add 2 consecutive quarter-finals as well, by the way. But the real stat that matters, the most important one, the World Championship title under Bingham's name 9 years ago now. Can you believe? Well, let's hear from Ball Run.
Stuart, you've done it. How have you done it? How have you managed to find this form, find this flair, find everything?
I was looking around and I'm like going toe-to-toe with the world's best player and actually enjoying it. A couple of times I felt nervous, especially like maybe with like Gary and obviously Jack being in front there, but every time I sort of seemed to go behind, I sort of produced some like top class snooker. Like I say, I went out there, I had nothing to lose that match. But once I sort of started enjoying it and seeing I was competing, I was like, this could happen again here. Lightning can strike twice.
You were quite emotional after the match, weren't you? I just walked by you as you were, getting all mic'd up. Where does that emotion come from? Is it, just pride in your performance, your family, or is it a case of just the fact that you've beaten Ronnie O'Sullivan? Like, what is it?
I think just sort of just to get to that level. Just how well I played out there. I think like, just sort of I know I can still do it. Like you say, I was playing that match there against Ronnie, and it was like didn't care if I lost. But all of a sudden, like you say, you've won. You got I've got another 3 days now.
Halfway there, Stuart.
Yeah, exactly.
Halfway
there. So yeah, I can't wait. Obviously, Jack. I think we might have only played once, and I remember him hammering me, and you just can't get under his skin as well. Like some players you can, but obviously it's his first time to the one table set up, so I'm sure it'll be a cracking game.
Stuart Bingham, genuinely one of the nicest players on tour, and out a slightly emotional Bingham immediately afterwards there. How big is getting to this point for him?
I don't think it means as much to him as it did back in the day, when he's 47 now, so he's been round the block almost as long as me, actually. But, the fact that he was in the semi-final here 3 years ago as well, added to winning it 9 years ago, he's a course and distance man here. There's a number of them, yes. And he's also like a kid in a candy store when he comes here. He just loves the fact that he's playing, whether it's 1 table, 3 table, 18 table, he just loves playing snooker in front of people to show off his skills. I said before he played Ronnie to my right, that obviously here, that his shot selection is supreme. It's tailor-made for this place, actually, because he gives you nothing, but he's always on your case. The way that he plays aggressive, but not reckless, and he's a brilliant player, and he's playing brilliant.
Ron, you played him in the quarter-finals. What's it like actually playing him? What, for you, makes him such a good player?
I was surprised that he played that well for that long, to be honest with you, because I looked at the Zelski game. I think he had, someone said he had 3 breaks over 50 in the whole match, right. And I thought, oh, that's not good scoring, but to win matches like that is fantastic. Shows you're not just a one-trick pony in many ways, but him to come out and play as well as he did for as long as he did, after the kind of bit of a barren spell he has been having, was impressive,
Al, they've only played each other once, Stuart and Jack, that is. Is that a fact for you?
No, none at all. This is literally a completely different ball game. We're just watching him there getting over the line against Ronnie. And it's a feature of what Stuart Bingham does when he's playing well. We think back to the Masters final that he won against Ali Carter, finished that in style with his first 100 of the Masters, the tournament that week. He tends to, when he gets in position, to land a big prize. He doesn't always do it, but he tends to play really well. You get players like that. Look at Marcel's one. When he goes deep in a tournament, he tends to make good on it, and I think Stuart is, cut from a similar cloth.
Well, he's got a tough Welshman ahead of him in just a few minutes' time, so let's hear what he said after his fantastic win against the world number 2, Judd Trump.
Jack, people will say it's a big upset that you've beaten Judd Trump. Are you surprised you've been able to do it?
No, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm surprised. No, obviously it doesn't get any more difficult than Judd, but I completely understand why people would be surprised. But yeah, it was Judd didn't play his best. and I just took advantage in the end.
Back-to-back quarterfinals and now a semi-final. What is it about the Crucible that you love so much?
I know I've said like about the longer formats in the past, which helped me. I think that suits my game. But obviously the Crucible itself is, if you can't get it for the Crucible, then you won't get it for anything.
I think considering the players you've beaten at the Crucible already, you know, Neal Robertson last year, Ali Carter, Judd Trump, I don't feel like you're going to be scared of anyone.
No, I don't feel scared of anyone, no. I feel, although results don't lie, really, but I feel like I belong. Although I'm not, I feel like I do belong. So when I'm playing the top players, I feel like, oh, this is where I should be. But obviously results speak louder than words. So maybe that's why I feel calm playing against anyone.
When Stuart Bingham won the World Championship, he was a big surprise package, and here he is back at the Crucible in another semi-final. It just shows you that, like you, when you love this place, you absolutely love it and you bring your very best.
I wouldn't say brings the best necessarily, but I just feel up for it. Like, just feel like I really want to be, I really want to do well.
I have to say, for only his second Crucible campaign, his maturity is off the charts. But Ron, for you, you were very complimentary about him off there, saying he's a proper player. He's performing here and seems to always do so. Why does he thrive for you?
I think he's obviously come through the pro ranks, but learnt his trade as he's been going along, like what a lot of the professionals have to do nowadays. He's hanged around long enough to do that, and now he's getting his rewards. Seen him play a few of the matches on the outside table, very impressed with the standard. Played him in China, come off there thinking, that was tough, played well, and I, won 6-4, and I thought, could have gone wrong there. So I knew then, for him to play at that level, I thought he's a very, very good player.
Right.
But then you get players that play well at the Crucible, and I just think Jack Jones, like Karen Wilson, like Anthony McGill, like Matthew Stevens, you get certain players, they have, I call it the Crucible action. It's very repetitive, very, you start very metronomic in the ways. So, they don't have to be outstanding, but they're equally not very poor. So it's just a very constant sort of pace from start to finish, which usually gets the job done here,
And Al, I can't imagine what it's like in your second Crucible appearance to be in a semi-final. That's exactly what you managed in 1992. What will be going through his head right now?
Well, not as many silly thoughts as I had back in the day. It was only my second season as a pro. And the honest truth of the matter is I wasn't good enough. I played Jimmy. I didn't have the experience. I thought I could handle it, and I went out there and I couldn't. And that was the problem. But it was a nice interview there, wasn't it, with Jack? And he said himself that he feels he belongs. He's not in the big boys club right now, but he's getting there. But if you feel like you're potentially going to be a member of it come, the future, the next couple of years, then that's all fine and well. And I think he will be. The one thing I would say about him, if you're going to win this tournament, I think he could be doing with just picking up the pace a fraction, because that's the only way you're going to hurt people over a long distance in the modern game, and Stuart Bingham being one of those, obviously.
I'll never get bored of watching back screen shots, by the way. But, Ron, just in terms of Judd's season, superb coming into this, 5 ranking titles, Jack, not the case. How did he do what he did for you to beat such a huge favourite?
I think just sometimes, like as a favourite here, you can maybe put a little bit too much pressure on yourself and freeze. And you try too hard, and the harder you try, the worse it gets. So sometimes you can want it too bad, and then you can draw a guy that's just really happy to be here and then come out swinging and playing with complete freedom. So you end up feeling like the underdog. You're like, well, why is he bashing me up? Like, what's going on here? It's like a bit of a malfunction. And then you have to figure out, how do I turn that around? That's a mental game you sometimes have to play with yourself. But that's what everyone has to try and figure out. How do I get comfortable in the Crucible under pressure when I'm favourite? This is what it does to you. Hendry done it better than anybody, Davis. Some people find the secret a bit better than others,
So who's got the secret? Let's hand back to Rob the Talker Walker.
One of the sport's most prolific winners, Judd Trump, with a brilliant display. Today, he becomes the 7th Welshman ever to reach a world semi-final. Here he comes, the giant-killing, silent assassin, Jack Jones. his opponents. He too produced one of the best wins of his career last night, beating snooker's greatest of all time, just as he did in 15 at the same stage en route to the title. It has been a simply extraordinary return to form for one of the best break builders in the modern game, the pride of Essex, Stuart "Ball Round" Bingham.
Welcome to the big time, Jack Jones, but how will he fare against the man who's lifted the big one? It's time to find out for the first session of the semi-finals in the World Snooker Championship 2024 as we hand to Neal Foulds and Phil Studd.
Jack, you want to toss your call? No, you want to toss.
The Crucible is rocking for the start of World Championship semi-final number 2. A proven champion here in Stuart Bingham against a man breaking new ground, who comes alive in this theatre, Jack Jones, the world number 44 coming into this tournament. Both qualifiers, of course, and it's Jones to get us underway. Came through qualifying last season to make the quarterfinals. He's already taken one giant step further forward. Can he take a further one against the 2015 champion, who's burst back to life himself this year at the Crucible after an indifferent couple of seasons for him. Fantastic win over O'Sullivan for his third semi-final appearance. And I guess one of the big questions, Neal, is how is Jones going to react to this brand new environment he's now exposed to? The one table, dividing wall gone, different arena.
Yeah, and a great atmosphere for it as well. Oh, my feelings are he'll be fine. He'll be absolutely fine, because all of the matches he's won here in the last 2 years, we always thought it was going to be, the next one would be a bridge too far, but he seems to relish it. I think it will take him a short while to acclimatise, but he seems extremely durable as a player. Just the kind of player that you need, and you heard Ronnie O'Sullivan speaking about that. And the fact that you need someone who's got a very consistent game, solid swing, and believes that they can do it. And he seems to tick all those boxes. It kind of was a very big shock beating Judd, but in other ways, if you'd only ever seen him play here, it wasn't really. If you watched him all the rest of the season, you might have thought it was a big shock, because he hasn't been sighted really since the quarterfinals 12 months ago.
I thought it was interesting the way he reacted to that question after his victory over Trump. Were you surprised to beat him? And without flinching, he said no. I think there's a calm, quiet confidence about Jack Jones. He's clearly a player for the big occasion. He's done virtually nothing this season. One round of 16 in a ranking event. That's it. All season since he made the quarterfinals here last year. But as he said himself, he loves the slow burn of these longer matches. It allows him to work his way into the competition. And he clearly enjoys testing his skills against the best. And he was much the stronger player when it mattered at the end against Trump, whose game rather evaporated, but that was partly down to the pressure that Jones was able to apply. That one meeting, by the way, the Gibraltar Open, best of 7 frame match a couple of years ago, which Jones won emphatically, but feels pretty irrelevant when it comes to the magnitude of their second meeting over 4 sessions and 33 frames.
I always feel this second Thursday, the first day of these semi-finals, which of course are over 3 days, is a bit of a, almost not so much a rest day, but a day when there's less going on here. It's a chance to just get frames on the board. But the next 2 days are very different because of 3 sessions per day. One match will play 2, and the other match will play 1, and it reverses. But today's just a sort of dip your toe in the water session, really, isn't it? And see what it's all about back here. Having said that, of course, I remember a couple of years ago when Ronnie won his 7th, you had Mark Williams had a really bad session against Judd Trump. And he ended up losing by the odd frame in that semi-final. So it kind of did beat him on the Thursday.
Could have been over for Bingham as early as the first round of qualifying. He was 2 down with 3 to play against Stuart Carrington, seemingly heading out, which would have put the seal on a very disappointing season for him. 1 quarter-final at the Scottish Open, but nothing else to write home about. But he showed his mettle to come through that. And then he was 8-7 down to Louis Heathcote in the next qualifying round, and won the last 3, including a 1-3-5 break. So he's shown that his bottle, his metal is intact, even though his form has not been there of late. And of course, he's just grown into this tournament as it's gone on, saving his best to beat the best to set up this 3rd crack at a semi-final here. And the way in which he won this title, it's hard to believe it's 9 years ago. Couldn't have got much harder, could it? O'Sullivan, Trump and Shaun Murphy back to back to win the big one. Added the Masters, of course, when he beat Carter.
Well, that isn't too bad. Red going up the table, but covered by the green. I think where Jack Jones also is very good is that in quiet periods, he doesn't seem to dip in concentration. He still plays the containing shots, a bit of a Mark Selby type, and he's been a 4 times champion here, of course. Crowd break into a little bit of laughter as it doesn't appear anything's on. It might be that that red goes actually on the right there. I think there's enough of that red sticking out to pot it. It's almost like the red next to it could be a guide. I think that will pot. I'm not saying it's easy, even if it does go.
One.
Terrific win, wasn't it, against Ronnie O'Sullivan? It's almost like, as Philip said, those qualifiers, which he really struggled in, just galvanised him as a player, reminded him what he can do, because he's been another player that's been incredibly quiet. Good of course, he's got previous here. That's the difference. He's been champion. This I always thought was in, but it only just made it. Thought about it.
Yeah, graphic evidence this season that form is really no barometer at all when it comes to success at the Crucible. All four of our semi-finalists have had pretty ordinary seasons. Kyron Wilson won semi, and that was only a couple of months ago. Bingham 1 quarter, Gilbert 1 quarter, Jones 1 round of 16, and yet here they are, all contesting the world semi-final, and all feeling, I'm sure, that they've got a fantastic opportunity to lift the trophy. And in Bingham's case, he'd be joining an extremely exclusive club at the Crucible were he to become a multiple champion. O'Sullivan, Hendry, Davis, Higgins, Williams, Selby, the only players to have won more than once here at the Crucible.
$11.
Well, the pink once again will stay on the black spot while those two reds are covering the pink spot.
17.
Both players have got to just
18.
get used to the table. I know that sounds odd when they've been playing on them all week, but this table gets dragged across. As the other table at the top half was being played on. And of course it hasn't really had time to properly settle. The tables that are put in when there are two here, 2 or 3 days at least before just settling in.
23.
Sometimes it can be a bit of a time to get used to it. Cushion's a little spongy on occasions.
24.
And then usually by tomorrow it's absolutely playing beautifully again.
$30. $31. $37. $38.
Yeah, very straight once again here. And a lovely shot. Of course, he'll be going up the table
44.
for a lower value colour this time.
$45.
Now from the overhead,
50.
you can see that that middle red is available, and he knew it. It's a very watchful start to this frame, but Bingham has now found himself right in.
51.
Looking to continue this terrific form that he showed, and it's sometimes difficult to do that immediately when the semis start, but going all right. He's a bit straight on this, however, which means he can't get close to another red. So I think all he can do is play onto the red, which is above the pink, just above it. It wouldn't be a very easy pot, but the lead is already growing.
56.
It was a good shot, stroked in right in the middle of the pocket. So this is a nice way to settle the early semi-final butterflies for Bingham. Still got a bit of work to do to clinch the frame, but he's in stroke, as he proved with that red. Great memories, I'm sure, flooding back of 9 years ago. Having returned to this one-table setup, of course, he was involved in an epic when he returned here. Back in 2021, a match he lost narrowly to Selby, 17-15.
63.
But he knows what it takes here at this great venue. And this is the ideal start for the Basildon man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he was slightly helped by the fact that the pink went straight on the black spot.
69.
And the blacks, of course, have never been in play, but it didn't hinder him that much that the highest value ball was just not a factor in the break.
$70.
He must be feeling terrific about Bingham, mustn't he? He's been in the doldrums. He's probably more grateful than ever to be here. He's always been someone that loves playing, we all know that, but just maybe
75.
somewhere he must have believed that this was never going to happen again, so
76.
he's loving it. And great shot as well to move that red. Not an easy shot on the pink, digging down and forcing it. That's a pity.
No fifth century at the Crucible this year, but 76 will do. Stuart Bingham leads 1-0. So they'll be back in the morning as Bingham breaks off in frame 2. 17 the target. It's all about establishing yourself in this opening session. And for Jones, just getting a feel for how different the venue now feels, with the best part of 1,000 pairs of eyes trained on your every move. I remember when Kyron Wilson played here in the one-table setup for the first time, he said it took him half a session just to acclimatise because it was so different.
Yeah, I suppose if you ever walked out here and just played on the one table without having played on the two table, where it's very cramped, as we know, you'd be okay, but you're so used to, for 12 days playing in a very different environment, that you have to reacclimatise, as you say. Speaking about that 2022 semi-final, Mark Williams had a really hard match against Yan Bingtao, and he lost the session 7-1, and he ended up losing by the odd frame, but he certainly did lose it in that first session, which is not usually the case at the semi-final stages.
Jones with a sniff then, after Bingham's safety with this long red.
One.
His first pot of the semi-final.
It's an absolute beauty as well. I mean, he's really got underneath the cue ball there and got it back. I think he just has a very slight angle on the blue.
His meeting with Trump was only his 4th ever ranking quarter-final of any kind.
7.
But of course, he made the last 8 here last year in such fine style. He beat Barry Hawkins in qualifying. He then beat an inform Ali Carter, dismantled Neal Robertson, and pushed Mark Allen to 13-10.
Yeah, and I think this year he's done well to prove that wasn't just a one-off. I mean, I never thought it was, because you can't fluke those wins that you just mentioned. But to come out and do it again and go further this year tells you that he's a very serious match player.
Marcel Eckardt, our referee, the youngest ever to officiate a world final, when he was just 30, when Ronnie O'Sullivan won his 6th in 2020 against Wilson.
I wouldn't like a mobile phone to go off that was mine, because he was watching a couple of people like a hawk earlier. I think the phone made the slightest sound, and his eyes were fixed on somebody for what seemed like about 10 seconds. So, well, best to have them switched off, I think, because you'll fall foul of this referee. Very good referee, I might add.
15.
Marcel Eckardt. That's a very good shot again. He's got a very interesting brand of snooker, Jack Jones. You know, he is,
20.
as we keep saying, a match player, but he is aggressive when he wants to be. Plays the big shots. Just a little awkward the way he's finished.
It's a very fair point. He's not the quickest, but that doesn't mean he's not an aggressive player. He does go for his shots. He's willing to take risks. And he's been rewarded many times in his 2 deep forays here. I mean, he's taken care of the field pretty comfortably so far. Both Si Jiawei, semi-finalist last season, and Trump, beaten 13-9. He played Zhang Anda in the first round, having come through qualifying, and
21.
Zhang, as we know, was a shadow of the player who's been rewriting his career this season, but you've still got to win, and he did it comfortably, 10-4. Wasn't seriously threatened in qualifying. Jamie Clark, 10-6. Zhou Yulong, we know how good a player he is, 10-4. So he's been winning with something to spare. And of course, the victory over Trump, the most eye-catching. Finish with a century.
He was overrun slightly there. He just caught out by the speed of the bed of the cloth. He's on the red, but he wanted to be straighter on it. Now he's got to pot it and hold the cue ball for, I think, the pink ball to right middle. No, he decelerated on that one. He never got through it for once.
Jack Jones.
Cue wasn't going at its
27.
quickest as he attacked the cue ball. And you overcut often when you do that. But it was a rest shot just to complicate matters. The shot before was the one. And he's left this red.
One.
very promising. This looks, again, perfect cannon. The red hit the other red, which pushes the black into play also. Seems that nothing goes to the pocket closest to the camera. He's got one to the middle. And if you can just pop this and get on the pink or even the black, then he could be away. Although he mightn't want to play on the black just yet, as he has no choice. There's a red on the black spot is the reason I say that. Seems not to like the shot on that red to middle. Got up from it a couple of times.
Yeah, it's just about wriggled in. It was pretty thin, but it dropped. I fancy that earlier in this championship that might have stayed out. Brand new cloth, of course, today on this semi-final table.
10.
The general consensus is that conditions have been challenging this year. At times the table has played on the sluggish side. The pockets have been particularly unforgiving.
11.
And that can change from session to session.
Yeah, I mean, the tables, there's no doubt what you're saying is true, and too many people have made that point. I always think if you've got someone who plays amateur snooker and they've got put on these tables, they would probably say it was heaven on earth compared to what they're used to playing in their club. I'm not suggesting it should be like that. But by the standards their players are used to, it has been challenging, you're right.
16.
It's made it a very interesting championship, though. Last year the pockets were a lot easier. Scoring was what it was all about.
Seventeen.
Crucially, he's moved that red off the black spot, so this is another superb opportunity. And he's a very fine break builder, always has been.
24.
9 times he's made a 147. He's closing in on 600 career centuries.
25. 32. 33. 40. 41. Got to stop pointing if the player's in the iron line, please.
Someone just caught the eye line of Stuart Bingham. Bit of movement, not much. I mean, you have to be very statuesque in the audience.
48.
Statuesque with a mobile phone that isn't going to ring, and you're fine then. You can do what you like.
$49.
This frame would sting Jones a little more than the first.
56. Yeah.
He was in, he had the chance. Missed the red into this right corner. Bingham with the chance to punish that. Double his lead in the process.
So,
$57.
He's looked very composed, hasn't he, Bingham? He said the key to his victory over Ronnie was just embracing the opportunity to play the best of all time. O'Sullivan came out with a big century at the start of the decisive session, but if anything, that inspired Bingham. He was just loving being back in the heat of competition at the very top of the game, in the best tournament in the game. And we saw how he responded.
well, interestingly, the first semi-final, there was never more than a frame between Kyron Wilson and David
72.
Gilbert. Already, Bingham has built up a 2-frame lead here.
73.
And he looks very good, I have to say, because both chances he's had to sort of engineer the break, work the break. Balls haven't been absolutely in prime spots, but he just looks like
80.
he's getting better. The confidence is back in his game. That has been drained for... I mean, the last time I saw him play anywhere near like this was that Masters match where he beat Sean Murphy 6-0. And he didn't really play much better in the next round or ever since.
Experimented with glasses earlier this season, which he then abandoned and promptly made the quarterfinals of the Scottish Open, where he said that he felt his form was coming back. There's been nothing wrong with his eyes in this tournament. The century's still on. Well retrieved. He is cueing so smoothly.
$89.
Just about wriggled that blue in. He only needs the pink. He's far from ideal on it for his 52nd century here at the Crucible. What a start to the evening for Ball Run. The century eludes him, but Stuart Bingham is picking up where he left off against the Rocket. 2-0.
Jack chance to break.
Who has been so impressive in this tournament in quickly burying any setbacks, has a similar sort of early test in this semi-final. Mr. Red paid the price, 2-0 behind, but a long, long way to go.
You know, the one thing that Jack Jones hadn't had to do in those matches is come from behind. He's been up there winning frames from the outset, holding off great opposition. showing tremendous stickability. Already, I think he needs to show a bit of that, even though it's the early stages, because of the way that Bingham clearly is playing. Well, it's a very difficult red that Jack Jones has left on here, to the point where the red below the black is the one I was speaking about. Stuart's looked at it, but he sees there's no value in it. It looks like Jones has got away with one there.
So, another chance for Jack Jones to establish himself in this session. Bingham quite a way off with that red, so much so that it caught the green, and worse for him, he's left the red.
One.
Well, I suppose he could play the black and get the reds wide open. It'll be a very positive shot to take on. It looks a natural, but of course you need luck with that. Anything could happen to the reds. He's not playing it.
Eight. Nine.
It's been quite a journey to this World semi-final for Jack Jones. He first turned pro when he was 16. He actually got his first taste of the Crucible when he played in the final of Junior Pot Black. He lost to Scottish professional Ross Muir.
16.
And initially found the transition from the amateur to the pro ranks a tough one, as so many players have before him, and since fell off the tour a couple of times, but battled his way back on. And here he is now, standing on the cusp of playing for the world title. But he's missed an absolute sitter.
Jack Jones.
Yeah, he was using
16.
left-hand side to try and ensure that there was running side on the cue ball to get onto the blue, and so that's why he missed it, because there was a degree of difficulty about it.
One.
Even though there was something about the shot that was different, it really shouldn't have missed it. Just a little bit of left-hand side, which is the opposite side to the potting angle. I'm making excuses for a shot that he will be disgusted he missed. And it's quite unnerving that he did, because I don't think I've seen him miss anything like that all the way through. Just looking at him in his chair, and all he can think about is that shot right now, and the way Bingham's playing, he's getting plenty of chances to think about it. Bingham's got his own issues out there, the insects or something.
Seven. 14. 15.
Well, is he going to play into the pink? He doesn't have to again, because he's got 2 reds sticking out, but it's a question of stopping the cue ball. Might be using the bunch of reds, might be the way to do that. Yeah, he's played it, and he got great contact. Great contact on the pink. He hit most of
20.
it. The reds haven't gone ideally, but he really did hit that nicely. Saw him winding up and bringing that cue right back to force it. Red to middle, it appears, is all he's got, and the cue ball is not assured to be on a colour.
Stuart Bingham.
I think he was just potting the red, it would be fine, but he just had to do a bit with the cue ball. That is a let-off for Jack Jones. Just when he needed one. He needed a bit of weakness, I think, from Bingham, because he's one way he might find a bit of inspiration of his own. Doesn't look too great over there, does it, into that side? I mean, really, the red is closest to up into the top right pocket, but I mean, he's leaving a simple red if he misses it to middle. He's not in the same form so far as he has to get here. It's early days, but he's definitely not settled in yet.
Bingham turns 48 later this month. It could be quite a celebration if things go to plan from here. He was 29th in the world coming into this tournament. Were he to win it, of course, he'd propel himself back into the game's elite. Mark Allen now confirmed as the new world number 1, the 12th to hold that coveted title.
Yeah, I mean, these players are playing for a lot of things, but congratulations to Mark Allen, and also John Higgins will be sweating on the other match, because if David Gilbert wins it, then Higgins will be out of the 16. Well, he hit another red. He might get some applause, but it was a false shot, which he got lucky on because he hit 2 reds, not 1. This time, Bingham needs a bit of cover. I don't know. He's got it. Yes, he has. Can't get through to the potting angle on the red. That's a good shot. That is excellent. Bingham is in a spot of bother this time. That's also a good shot. The safeties of a high standard. Of course, you can't get this far without having a safety game. You'll get found out if you only have one style, and that's to pot the balls.
Top class from both of them, really. The crowd more than happy to appreciate the tactical side of the game as well as the breaks and the pots. And it's a really important exchange. Jones just looking to establish himself in this first session after a slightly rocky start. Missed that short range red to the left centre early in this frame after Bingham had missed from long range. Mutual appreciation at the moment at the quality of these safety shots.
A lot happened here. Very handy it went in, but now is he going to be able to keep the break going? He's going to have to play the green. It's quite a big shot. Oh dear. That's a slight worry, I think. Yes, it was a big shot, but he's been knocking those in all the way through this championship, even though you know that those are never a certainty. Queuing on the side cushion. So it is a slight concern. Can't afford to fall behind in this first session.
Yeah, that red is causing a few issues for Bingham in terms of his cueing. So it looks like the extension coming out just to give him a bit more leverage, but disappointment again for Jones, who benefited from the fluke, but not for long. Marcel Eckardt, eagle-eyed as always. Pretty close to it. It serves as a real distraction when all you want to be thinking about is the shot you're playing.
Six.
Well, this will be a big shot to play across for the black.
Seven.
That's always the worry on that shot. You can lose the cue ball to the cushion. Which means, yes, it's possible, but the cue ball's just drifting away from all the action now.
$14.
Very early days, but certainly some cause for concern for Jack Jones. A combination of how well Bingham has settled into this semi-final and one or two errors that we haven't seen from the Welshman so far in this championship.
$15.
Oh, there's end of break. Unfortunate kiss on the red. And of course the black wouldn't go to the right middle. That would be his saviour, but clearly that's not on, so he's got a handy lead, but he's going to have to slug it out a bit in this frame still.
Stuart Bingham, 15.
Clearly frustrated to have lost position because he knows he's very much on top in the early running. He wants to keep it that way. He wants to keep Jones under pressure. He'll be very conscious of the fact that this is brand new ground for Jones. Still adjusting to playing in the one table environment here at the Crucible. It is very different. But also aware of how resilient his opponent is. Bingham himself said ahead of this match that it's very difficult to get under Jack's skin. He is an inscrutable sort of character. He doesn't give much away, whether he's winning or struggling. Very evenly tempered. And he's found the plant to get back in.
Yeah, and I think the other two reds are also now a plant to follow it up. An awkward table still with the reds placed where they are, but when you think about it, three of them look to be very much in play. immediately looking so, but like I say, this plant looks certainty.
3.
And the red by the middle is quite easy to get on also. He wants to hit this flush so that the first red stays where the second one is, basically.
4.
That's fine. What a chance. I mean, he really needs a frame. He's not played well yet. A lot of opportunity to put that right, but got to start somewhere.
$11. 12. $19.
Oh no. Mr. Red into the opposite centre earlier in the frame. That 1-2 has gone astray, so Jack Jones has still not settled into this semi-final. His highest break, just 27.
One.
Yeah, a little soft screw to finish just the other side of that red, basically. Done it well.
8.
Now, the angle on the blue means he can do what he likes, really, as far as getting
9.
on the red. It's an absolute natural, this. Around 2 cushions, he could hit the red, he could hit the pink onto the red. Thought he might play it with a bit more pace than that.
14.
He looked a certainty to hit the pink and red, but a little bit more on it would have pushed the red into a better spot than it is. Taking it on down into the top pocket. Well, kind of
Stuart Bingham.
2 in 1, but
14.
mostly the snooker. Pressure's on again, Jack Jones. It's not been Bingham in one scoring visit like the 2 previous frames. We didn't get any really close frames this afternoon, but they do often appear to be the ones that give you a boost if you win them, or kind of deflate a player when they lose them.
Foul and a miss.
Well,
Stuart
that was
Bingham.
quite a big target, and he missed it by a long way. I think he expected the cue ball to slide off that cushion. It squared up a little bit. Now, what does he do? He's playing it. He could have had it put back, but he fancies the red.
One.
Very well cued. And nothing safe to rescue Jack Jones here, who's already 18 behind. Bingham 3 balls away from 3-0. The first scrappy frame of the semi-final, but Jack Jones has had a number of opportunities. He's missed a couple of reds that he certainly hasn't been missing in this tournament so far, as Bingham just spots something on the cue ball. Doesn't want to kick at this stage of the game.
No, if this was just a tiny bit straighter, a ball's width further across, the yellow to the green would be pretty easy.
Seven.
That's way out to just kiss into the green ball there. Frame ball.
No problem. Not a frame with a fluent break, which was the feature of the first two, but it's gone the same way. Stuart Bingham has settled very quickly into this semi-final. And this frame will be the most concerning of all for Jack Jones, because he's had chances and they haven't really amounted to much. Bingham
19.
with a wealth of big match experience on his side, and he's bringing it to bear at the moment. It's been a great start to the evening for the former world champion Stuart Bingham, and a rather shaky one for Jack Jones appearing in his first semi-final. Bingham extending his lead to 3-0. Jones looking a little edgy in a way that has not been evident on his way to this semi-final, but this is by far and away the biggest match of his life, a quantum leap from anything he's experienced before. And he urgently needs a response before the first interval, which is coming up at the end of this frame, of course. Another 5 in this session. They're back tomorrow afternoon for session 2. 17 the target, to face either Dave Gilbert or Kyron Wilson, who shared their first 8 frames this afternoon. Bingham misses the long red by a sufficient margin that the safety element of it went awry, catching the secondary red. So here's another chance for Jones to just settle himself down. He's shown such great composure throughout this tournament, and indeed in his run to the quarterfinals last year. If he can win this frame, then he'll feel part of the match and a whole lot better going into that 15-minute break.
1.
Yeah, good way of playing it, because it gave him options.
6.
He could have landed on more than one red there. He's just looking at the line of that red by the black. If ever he could get the cue ball behind the red, it would open the black up. It would be
7.
almost a dream shot to be on looking down that channel again, if he could just land in a certain area and beyond that red by the black, it is absolutely opening the frame up for him in front of his very eyes. But I don't think he's got the shot on the blue. It's a little thin.
Nine.
Yeah, well, I don't know that he's on anything there. Not gone far enough, has he? It's a bit disappointing that he's ended up playing the yellow instead of the blue, because he wasn't on it, and now what could have been a good break has amounted to very little. I think you accept it when your opponent knocks a long ball in and makes a century. Because you haven't had a chance, but he has had a chance in this frame already.
He's had a few chances in the last couple of frames. Of course, he also was the beneficiary of that gigantic fluke, which came to nothing in the previous frame, as well as the misreads.
Well, if he could play the thick safety shot off the left-hand side of the table, he could get that cue ball angling behind the green and the black. Oh, goodness, not that thick. He got a little greedy there. He went too thick on the red to try and send the cue ball wider and round the angles, and that's what he did. It was an unforced error. He's playing this red up into the yellow pocket. It's tough, and he mightn't be able to keep things safe from it. I think he's taking the cue ball up the other end as well, so maybe that's in his interests. But the pots are not going in. He's a little lucky there because that red could have stayed along the baulk cushion somewhere. Very good shot from Bingham. Underrated shot, I think. And that was what he tried on the previous shot when he ended up nearly going in off in the left corner. Now he was eyeballing that black and green, that area. Seems that he can get through, but want to hit the edge of.
Another telling safety from Stuart Bingham. He's really keeping the pressure on here. He'll sense that Jones is struggling a bit at the moment.
Well, he's up quickly. I think he believed it wasn't hard enough, but it was. He sort of leapt up and I think tutted as if it was short. Not the case. Once again, that area behind black and green is what he's attacking here. Probably the best safety shot of the lot, that one. Again, there's a gap. But what does he do with it? Well, he forced a mistake, Jack Jones, and now he has to do something with it. And it's imperative that he does.
There's certainly been nothing wrong with Jones' safety so far this evening. It's been his inability to convert the chances he's had, and he's had a few, into anything tangible. Here's another one.
One.
He's just not getting on the blue properly. He's not getting the right angle. A ball's width the other way to the right as we look at the overhead. It would be so easy to get from colour to red.
Six.
This is a little tester when you've been struggling. Yeah. And that is about as demonstrative as Jack Jones has been in the 13 days of this championship.
Yeah, another example of overcutting. Probably not accelerating through the ball in the way he'd like. He knows it. He knew what happened.
1.
Well, play blue to middle, and again, it's hard to get down for a red from there. Pink to middle, I meant, not blue.
Stuart Bingham 1.
I actually wondered if he'd have a look at the black there, you know, because I saw him, he potted a tremendous green from its spot in an earlier round against Jack Lisowski. I think the black, had he gone for the black, I think he'd have got it, but he just wasn't prepared to take that risk. And the pink, as I said at the time, just the wrong angle to hold for a red. An awkward frame this one's turning into.
Plenty of vocal support in the Crucible for Jack Jones. His fans conscious of the fact that he's feeling it out there at the moment. It can be the most wonderful place to play snooker when you're playing well and things are going well. When you're struggling, it can be the most difficult. Pink currently clogging up that right-hand pocket.
Keeping the pressure on Bingham, I don't blame him. You can just sense that there's possibly a very bad session in the offing here from Jack Jones. He's not at that stage yet. He can salvage it. He's not prepared to give him anything. Well, that's a handy little knuckle.
Pretty messy frame now, but Jack Jones doesn't care about how ugly this frame is. As long as he wins it, if he does, then he can then settle into the match. At the moment he hasn't done. He's looked tentative. He's made mistakes that have been uncharacteristic in this championship. Plant's found its way in.
Yeah, I think he played it. It was a very complicated shot. It was a plant off the cushion and off. I mean, what's he going to do for his next trick? Pull a rabbit out the hat or something. It's an incredible shot, which he definitely was lining up. That was not so good, he knows it. Well, I think he is going to have to do something pretty exotic again here. A plant. This is a difficult one as well. I'm sure he can't keep knocking on all these trick shots. Now, in the end, something had to give.
Stuart Bingham, 4. Come on, Jack.
His long potting has been pretty solid in this tournament, 60% success. Looking for one really sweet shot to recapture his rhythm and a bit of belief, which at the moment is perhaps lacking.
Yes, I don't think he's going to take any risks, Jack Jones. I think he knows he's got to dig in here and just get a frame one. Doesn't matter if it's with a big break or without any breaks. He's got to win it. Wouldn't be very comfortable in that mid-session interval, would it, in his dressing room if he loses all these frames? Because he has had chances.
Safety has been of a really high calibre from both players actually so far. Bingham has been much the better when it's come to taking his chances. That's why the scoreline is lopsided at the moment, as Marcel Eckardt has a good old look in case something goes wrong here and replacement is required.
You can get to the edge of that bread, but if you hit too much of it, the cue ball might rattle in this bottom left-hand pocket or even go in, so it's got to hit it very thin. And that's another good shot. Well, there's been, as you say, some pretty troublesome shots having to find a way of keeping it safe from a good shot from the opponent. I think where the black is, it does entice the cue ball in behind there. Players are inclined to want to play into an area like that. Up by the top right pocket.
view from the gods of this wonderful Crucible theatre that really is transformed when we reach the semi-final stages. Best place in the world to compete.
Well, he managed to get the cue ball back there. I suppose that was half of it. Didn't have a lot of control over very much else. Now, is he taking this on? He's been knocking these in all the way through the championship, but not very much today on this score, this sort of range. Oh, goodness, he hit it terrible. He is just not hitting through the ball at the right speed. Nothing's right. He's had a little technical deficiency here. And that can happen at this place. Sometimes, you know, you don't get the chance to put your skills together on the practice table. It's all match after match, and you can slip into bad habits. He's done that. He's not put anywhere near his game yet, Jack Jones. Yes, his safety's been put there, but that doesn't really win your matches. You've got a pot at the end of it. I'd be a little concerned if he went 4-0 down. A long way to go. Probably more than a little bit, actually.
8.
Great comebacks here at the Crucible, a legend. We had the mother of all recoveries in the semi-finals last year, of course, from Si Jiawei from 9 down, in a seemingly hopeless position against Luca Brissell. Brissell turned it around and went on to lift the title, but that's very much the exception to the
14.
rule, and it is so difficult to claw back a big deficit here,
15.
particularly when you're not used to this stage of the tournament. The danger that you can just run out of emotional steam can happen at any stage. You can hit the wall in this tournament, even when you've played well. All of those things will be playing on Jones's mind, even though it's still very early in the piece. Bingham's not been immaculate. Made some nice breaks in the first 2 frames, but he just looks so much more settled at the moment.
That's an excellent shot played at pace. Right hand side and screw.
$26. $27. $33.
Couldn't have played that any better. It's been a very scrappy frame. The balls have been awkward, although there's been some terrific safety.
Well, they're less awkward now, aren't they? You're absolutely right. Look what he's done here. This is a lot of vision in that shot, and now he's just got to make sure this pink goes in and make it all worthwhile. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing knocking those reds out, but then if you miss the next ball and your opponent gets them, it's no good to you. But that was a very telling shot and a very thoughtful shot, I think. I mean, obviously, we don't know what kind of deficit, if any, Jack Jones is going to have, but obviously last year when CGRE led by so many, Luca Marcel was so inspired in coming back and winning that match. He's a different kind of player, isn't he, to Jack Jones?
Yeah, that capability of reeling off frames in no time with spectacular potting, which Marcel did on many occasions, not least against O'Sullivan in the quarterfinals from 10-6 behind. Not necessarily one of Jones's strong suits. We know he's got a tremendous match play temperament.
46.
He's got bottle. His game very much suited to this tournament, but we haven't seen those qualities very often this evening so far.
47.
Bingham looking to go for the jugular early in this session, keep the pressure on, build himself a handsome lead.
Yes, he's going to want another red here. Oh, well, more than a red. What a miss.
Stuart Bingham, 47.
Thinking he'd be 42 in front. He still actually just needs one ball, but I understand why he missed it. He's trying to force the cue ball round the angles.
Is there a way back into this frame for Jones? Because if he can win this one, then things could change very markedly for him in the second half of this session. He's not potted one for 20 minutes. He's missed a few by a margin, both from long range and short range.
There's a bit of a an R there, as if he missed it, but trust me, he did not go for that. Point was, you know, obviously Bingham had that blue just been potted, which he'd pot 49 out of 50. There'd been 42 in it, so 2 red blanks for Jack Jones. Well, look where the black is. It wasn't going to happen. So they were almost saying it was frame ball.
.33 old. Jones said after his win over Trump, when he was asked about how he was sleeping, and he said he'd got next to no sleep ahead of the final session with Trump, just a couple of hours, but he said you don't need it here because the adrenaline takes you through, but even adrenaline has a limit.
I think he's right about the adrenaline, but of course players do sometimes just run out of sort of petrol almost. The point where they haven't really got anything else to give, especially if they get behind. I think that's the key, and he does not want that to happen.
May I ask you to be careful with the wrappers, please?
There's definitely a way back into this frame now after that Bingham miss on the blue, which was virtually unmissable.
1. Six.
Oh, this is a big shot. Tricky. Bingham's one ball away from winning the frame. Well played. Gutsy, and we've seen plenty of that from Jones in the last 2 years at the World Championship.
Just finding his stroke a little bit. Again, it will come down to whether this frame ends up being stolen by him or not.
13.
Don't know if he'd ever consider quite an ambitious shot maybe, but an angle on the green to nudge the black out, because he'll not want that at the end, of course. But the trouble with that is sometimes the cue will end up on the cushion. So your next shot, which would be the brown, of course, would not be that easy. But you could do with the black away from where it is. That'll be the big decision in the frame from here. Well, he can't really do anything but knock the black out now, the angle he seems to have. He doesn't want to knock it safe. Of course, it does compromise
18.
position, that's what I was saying. I mean, he couldn't really have thought the cue ball was going to be right down there for the next ball. This is a massive shot if he's going for this to hold for the blue.
Nineteen behind, so Bingham still one ball away from winning this frame for a clean sweep. But that is a great pot from Jones. Once again, though, position far from A1.
22.
This is a very good effort. Very good.
Stuart Bingham's turn maybe to feel a bit of frustration. He had a chance, Neal.
Yeah, he'd be thinking about that blue, won't he? This has been outstanding from Jack Jones.
Looking completely out of sorts in the first 3.5 frames, really. But what a clearance of the colours that was. And an ironic cupping of the ear, because he knows how important that break was. Numerically nothing special, but it might be one of the most important contributions of Jack Jones' career. He has a foothold in his first World semi-final. Stuart Bingham leads at the break, 3-1.
May I ask you to settle down, please? It's the 5th frame. Jack Jones the break.
So Jack Jones getting us back underway. And what an impressive break that was. Only 40, but given what had gone before, given the errors he'd made, some of the short-range pots that he'd missed, the fact that Bingham settled so quickly, the fact that he was staring down the barrel of a 4-0 reverse at the start of this semi-final, to conjure that series of shots that he was able to produce to snatch the fourth frame. Mightily impressive, and it'll be fascinating to see whether that has a transformative effect for the rest of this session. 4 more frames coming tonight, of course. They're back tomorrow afternoon, but that's a nice start to the second half of session 1 from the former champion, Neal.
1.
Yes, only time will tell how significant that break was that got him to 3-1 Jack Jones, but it looked good. And he looked very relieved once he was walking off there. It was looking a bit nightmarish, actually, because he just could not put 3 or 4 shots together. But that's gone now.
And for Bingham's part, pretty happy with the start he's made, I'm sure, but as Jenny indicated, with a tinge of frustration maybe that he missed that blue when he was only 1 more pot away from the frame.
6.
Breaks of 78 and 94 in the first 2 frames from Bingham. Hit his stride very quickly.
Eleven.
A chance to screw across for the 2 reds into the same pocket here. Nicely done. If he is short of speed, he could take the left-hand red of the 2 and really open the reds up from it.
19.
Got a choice of the 2 shots, but the left-hand red really brings things into play. Might still be able to do it off the other one. I think he needed a bit more on it than
20.
that. I was surprised if he was going to play like that. He really had to plough through with topspin. Don't see how he could get through at that speed. He couldn't have got enough spin on the top of the ball.
Stuart Bingham. 20. Not bad. It hasn't really threatened Bingham, that shot. Bingham might be able to play an even better safety shot here if he decides to go off the bunch.
Be able to shape the cue around in behind a bolt colour. That pot success of 76% clearly not good enough, but it was boosted at the end of that fourth frame considerably to get to that point. Oh, this is heavy. He's hit this quite hard. Lucky to get the kiss on the green.
It was down in the 60s at one stage for Jones. It was looking grim indeed when Bingham was addressing that blue. Really showed his mettle in that little break. A series of pots, all of which were eminently missable, not least the cut back red into this right corner. He's made of stern stuff. That's a big reason why he's got this far. And it must have given him a huge injection of confidence to win that frame in the way he did.
I just look at the way he played this, and he's got the spin on it, and he's top side of the blue now, so that he can get down for the red.
Six. Seven.
Well, I don't want to put the mockers on things, but the cue action looks a lot smoother than it did earlier. He's got his game back together. It was only an hour or so where he lost it, but it was the
13.
occasion perhaps that brought it about. Well, he's got a red up the table, so even though he's not got any angle to play down for a red, his next red will not be from that far away.
Nineteen. Twenty.
To play on the red below the pink is the obvious shot, but he didn't really want to do that. Surely it would be better than looking at that plant though, wouldn't it? Oh, I don't believe it. He may get the plant, but surely it's not so tight down that cushion rail. You'd rather play
26.
a plant. It looks on, and he's got the cue ball absolutely right for it. In the absence of anything else, I think a lot of players would have played on the red below the pink. Pockets are smaller, I get that, but they're not so small that on this match table you wouldn't be able to pop them down the rail. Anyway, he has pushed that red safe now. And at some point, to take the break further. There are definitely signs of improvement though here. Awkward queuing over the red and black.
33.
Last thing he needed. That was very good. Now what will he do? Will he now play on the red? Interesting. This time he did. Played on it.
40.
It's got to just drop it in. Cube was a little short of where he'd like to be. And he will be rolling this. Very good, very accurately played.
It's just an entirely different look about Jack Jones now compared with what we saw in the first 3.5 frames when he was really struggling, getting up off shots quickly. He'd missed some short-range pots. He'd had a number of chances which came to next to nothing.
47.
But now beginning to produce the sort of snooker that's got him to this semi-final.
.48.
And this time he has got the right side of the blue. He's going to need a couple more reds to close the gap to 1.
Well, he's taken your lead there because he's pushed that red out, and you couldn't have seen the shot played any better. He's at the top side of it. He's on the other one. The red's now developed. So as you say, he knew he needed 2 reds. This is superb the way he's made this break.
.59. 60.
Bingham needs a couple of snookers, but if this pink goes in, then it's surely end of frame. He's missed the cannon.
Well, it's quite a big target, actually. Yeah, he snookered himself. It's not a snooker he's going to miss, but he doesn't really need any dramas here.
Jack Jones, 66.
A very fine break, I think. 66, that. Took all the important balls off the table.
And it leaves the former world champion needing 3 snookers. Couldn't have got any closer. It's been very noticeable that Jones has got plenty of vocal support in the Crucible. Still hot favourite to win this frame, and of course had he potted that red it was definitely over, but while there's the chance of a free ball, Bingham is still very interested in trying to turn this around.
Yeah, I think sometimes psychologically you feel like you've done enough, and he really did make an excellent break. 66 of the best it was, but somewhere in the back of your mind you feel you've done enough. He wouldn't have missed that last red, I don't think, had it been frame ball. And you never know with this game. You know, the green's a good ball to hide the cue ball behind. The black's available to pop with the red if that chance comes. Free ball, all these things could happen.
Looked for a moment as though Bingham might have got a nasty snooker there, but the red's come back up the table sufficiently for Jones to be able to get through. .46 the deficit, 35 there, so it remains 3-4 point snookers to turn this frame his way, but there is still the spectre of the free ball, which could change things quite significantly.
That's a good snooker, although the free ball scenario is very unlikely here. It would be a bad shot to miss this and leave a free ball. Any snooker can be missed. Should be playing it at a pace where that's not going to happen. Got to be a little careful though. Tournament snooker escape success there. I've not seen that stat before. 64%. I suppose it depends what kind of snooker you're in. 2 cushions here, trying to hit it off. I'm just a bit worried though, if he does play it at the sort of natural pace and misses it, I suppose he could leave a free ball, but he's gone back to 1 cushion, he's changed it. Good shot. That was because he played it gently to avoid the free ball. As I say, it wouldn't be the natural speed to escape from a snooker if you didn't have to worry about the cue ball and all that. He's overrunning. Jack Jones with another bite at the cherry here to get the frame one.
What a difference a 40 break has made. Jones was really under the cosh for 3.5 frames, but that superb clearance to deny Bingham a 4-0 clean sweep as he just about reaches the pink has definitely changed the vibe of this opening session of semi-final number 2 at the Crucible.
Stuart Bingham to break.
So Stuart Bingham breaking off in frame 6. He now knows he's well and truly in a match. Very close. Jones grimacing. I think he would have felt that was on its way to the pocket. It would have felt good. It was good cueing, but just wide of the mark, and worse for him, he's left a chance for Bingham. And it's now Bingham's task to re-establish himself in this match, having lost the last 2 frames, the 4th in exasperating circumstances for him, having had the chance for a 4-frame lead. And at that stage, of course, Jones would not have settled. He would still have been struggling to adapt to these new surroundings. But Jones well and truly in the match now, and Bingham looking to respond and get himself 2 frames clear again. There's still the chance of a handsome first session advantage for the former champion.
Fourteen. 15. 22. 23. 29. 30.
'Not a great cue ball.
35.
Couldn't do anything with the cue ball.
Stuart Bingham, 35.
A handy 35, however.
We're just playing up the table there. Not any great designs on playing behind a colour.
Looks as though the red just about does go. Well, oh, hang on, goodness me, so close to the fluke, but in truth, he didn't get close to that red. It looks as though there was just about space for it, but he caught a fair bit of the other red. James looks a little perplexed by that one. Could have been worse, though. He's covered the red over the corner pocket. Anxious glance back from Bingham.
I mean, you can get through. I don't know if he needs just a trace of left-hand side to make it potable, in which case he's not a certainty to finish on the black. That side will take the cue ball across to the right cushion somewhat.
One.
Well, he could just get through there.
Further evidence that things are changing in this first session. Jones did get lucky when he missed the red to this corner. Didn't leave one for Bingham, which he could easily have done.
8.
Well, only just, but that doesn't matter. Well, he's very straight on this. I mean, the top red goes left middle, but I think the cube would have to be in a specific area. Yeah, if the cube was just a little bit to the right of where it is now, or even perhaps where it is now from the black, then it clearly goes, but it's not a wide area to land it in. Played a good shot there. Probably deserved a slightly better outcome than this because he went into the bunch squarely on at a good pace. The reds have split, but the next red, as you can see, is not going to be easy.
Another terrific pot from Jones.
17.
It's amazing what a bit of confidence can do, although the result could clearly have been a lot better.
Pink ball. Jack Jones 17.
Just looking to leave queuing as awkward as possible for Bingham.
Well, it was the awkward nature of the shot, clearly. Trying to hit the red thinly when he got the pink in the way. And he definitely, the little spring in his step has gone for the moment.
One.
It's the first time that Jack Jones has been behind in his matches. He was 3-0 down and going nowhere, quite honestly. 4-0 looked a certainty. And I wondered what that would do to his game, but it hasn't really done anything. He very determinedly got that frame one, and now, like, business as usual, isn't it?
6.
Playing hard snooker, playing good shots, attacking shots. When he has to play safe, they're good ones.
We saw heroics from John Higgins As we've seen throughout his career in denying Mark Allen at the death in their second round match. But you'd have to say, in terms of the context and what it's meant for Jones in this semi-final, that 40 that he put together and the manner of it, one of the breaks of the tournament. There were at least 4 or 5 shots that were missable that he negotiated, and it's given him a completely different mindset. He was properly struggling at 3-0 down, and now looking like the player who's impressed so
14.
much over the last 2 years here at the Crucible, and threatening parity, which seemed highly unlikely in that 4th frame at one stage.
15.
Well, there's 2 reds below the black.
22.
They're going to be a problem, and he's very good at sort of resolving these issues, as we saw in the previous frame when he nudged a red out and landed on another one because he needed those balls. He played to the scoreboard, which I noticed had a glance up a couple of times. Ultimately, he's got more to do. He's got to pot all 4 of these reds from here to get the frame one.
23.
So is he thinking of going in now? Going into the 2 reds, perhaps? Yeah, that's not bad. It was awkward. I mean, the tables aren't easy, and he's quite straight on this, so I don't think he can get out for the black very easily.
30.
Any angle would have been very handy, but there's barely anything there.
$31. Yellow ball.
Well, that's a
Jack Jones.
very good way to end the break. A lot of players, I think, might have tried to roll the black in to keep that break going, but when you know you're going to play a shot as good as that one, that's clearly the right shot to play. It's a really good shot, but unlucky in the full ball contact on the blue.
One.
Yes, he was quite close to the green, but not any kind of a foul on the waistcoat or anything like that. Could have done with keep ball running further. I wonder if he felt the slightly poor contact is why it didn't bounce off the cushion straight on the black. So now he has to go the long way round for the red. Although there's not a very big gap there to go round. kind of lots of obstacles in his way here. Taking the cue around the angles. Look at all those colours that he could hit. Even that little glance has actually made a big difference.
8.
Just glance the blue.
Jack Jones 8.
Well, for once, that was quite a weak safety shot from a player who's usually very strong in that department. Might have just given away the advantage here. Bingham can... I mean, again, all those balls down there, they were no good for Jack Jones to avoid them, but Bingham could easily get a snooker behind one here. Played it the percentage way. No way he was going to be able to see that red.
A very significant early frame in this semi-final because Bingham is looking to reassert control, which he had a very firm grasp on when he was 3-0 up and close to 4-0. Jones looking to complete the comeback from 3-0 behind.
Didn't know what to do there. I mean, he didn't really consider potting it into the right corner. Again, dangerous cue ball this for the man who's got to play the next shot. Great shot. Jack Jones. And the red's far enough away from the cushion to make this a slightly awkward ball to hit. Well, keeping it safe was the problem. There's a bit of guesswork there. He's earned this subsequent chance, Jack Jones, with good safety.
The frustration very evident in Bingham's face. Jones, one good positional shot away from drawing level in this match. What a result that would be after the start he made.
1.
Already a snooker required for Bingham, but Jones had a few uncomfortable moments in the previous frame when Bingham was chasing them. So he liked this in.
Yeah, especially where the balls are still in very good snookering positions.
2 snookers now.
Well, that was the shot that's kind of changed this session, really. The shot we saw from Bingham.
Jack Jones 10.
To go 4-0 up, he'd have been 42 in front with 2 reds and the black safe. And as we saw, he lost the frame, changed everything. It didn't appear that Jack Jones was very close to winning any of the frames. He was scratching around looking for his best, but he's found it now. One shot has definitely turned the session.
It's a good hit, but it's a chance for Jones to pop this green. And then I think there'll be a concession.
Free. Free Andy frame.
Stuart Bingham concedes. What a turnaround in this opening session. Bingham missed that blue when he was primed for 4-0. His lead has now evaporated. Jones right back in the hunt. 3 each.
Jack Jones to break.
Well, incredibly, Jack Jones could still win this session. I think you'd have got any odds you fancied at 3-0 behind, not just because of the score, but the way he was struggling, how serene Stuart Bingham was looking, picking up where he left off after that brilliant victory over Ronnie O'Sullivan. But that one steely break, full of skill, has changed this session around.
One.
It's another very solid pot. Swinging the cue ball around 2 cushions. Yeah, the shot's there, but you've got to hit it right.
Eight. Nine.
Strength of mind here at the Crucible is like gold dust. And Jack Jones is repeatedly proving that he has it in spades. That ability to just park the errors you've made, the disappointments, the things that have gone against you, and stay in the moment. So difficult to achieve in practice, but it's something that Jones certainly seems to have cracked.
Played a good shot there. He might have tried to just nudge the pink and be on that left-hand red, but even then he knew he'd have some sort of shot at this one. Tough as it is from there. And he's starting to really find his range, isn't he? He looks very dangerous now.
17.
He seems to be able to manage his own game very well. You know, he was decelerating through the ball early on. He seemed to work that out for himself. Didn't get the chance to go to the mid-session interval and hit balls. He just, towards the end of frame 4, he'd worked out what was wrong and he put it right. He's got a screw right back for the red at the bottom of the bunch into the left corner here. Takes some good cueing this. Nicely done.
19. Twenty.
Pot success was down at 69% when Jones was struggling halfway through frame 4. He's now moving up through the mid-80s, getting stronger, it would seem, with each passing shot.
$27. $28.
I think this is an opportunity to get into the reds here. I mean, the cue ball could conceivably come out onto the loose red. Got one to middle.
35.
I don't know if it worked out quite as he'd hoped there, whether he played it exactly how he meant to, and that's what he's left with, a red to middle. It's quite difficult, really. Close to it. Middles are not offering loads. They're not generous. And the trouble is, I think reds go to the opposite middle if he plays on the black into the left corner, so depends how confident he's about the red in the first place. This one looks tight, one that he's now looking at. Well, he played it with a little bit of uncertainty because of where he's put the cue ball. He didn't want to leave a red on. But now, of course, the black to follow it is his next problem.
$43.
Those three reds are kind of all in each other's way, aren't they? That's why he looks a bit mystified by it all. It's a good break. He'd be annoyed it ended there because he was really getting into his stride. But the three reds are all covering each other up. It's a slightly better break than it looked at 43. Well, it's not far away from being a plant.
It's all rather congested around that left corner pocket, with reds in the way of one another. Jones eyeing up a possible long-range plant. He's already 43 in front in his bid to, incredibly, get in front in this session. Looks like a good cue ball. Just missed the snooker though, and he has left this red.
Yeah, and there's definitely the chance for counter-attack here. I'm not sure quite how the cue ball comes out of that area very easily onto its colour. Green over the pocket helps.
That's the way things have been going for Bingham ever since he missed the blue off its spot.
And that red gone up there is the worst thing, isn't it? The red has gone in the way of the green. I mean, I said at the time, the green's always there for him. And that red, I mean, what are the odds on that red finishing on top of the green there? And the other thing is, what other colour can he hit? Obviously, he can hit the pink, but that's the only thing he can get to, really. I wonder if he'd even think about playing the green, the pink off the cushion onto the green and try and pot it. I mean, it would be bring the house down, quite honestly, but in the absence of anything else. He's having a look at this. He's in a lot of trouble here, and this could change everything. If he was to play the pink, well, he's deciding to go the other way, just play safe up the table off it. Probably was too much to ask the other shot, but he did certainly give it thought. He should be buried in behind the green himself here, though, by Jack Jones. Either that or behind the brown. Very serious error once again. The safety exchange not won by the seasoned and more experienced player. Jack Jones is getting the upper hand of all that.
Even when Jones was struggling with his potting, his safety was good and well in front in that regard now. A chance to kill this frame off for his fourth in a row, with one to come after this one.
One.
Now this time, what is he on? Don't know. Yeah, he can't get through to the green, and you know the blue is very thin. It's the worst place he could have landed. 2 or 3 reds have been potted, knowing that the green's over the pocket every time something's got in the way. thinks the blue will pass the green, but it's quite tight. It's not dissimilar to a shot that John Higgins had earlier the week against Marcel, where he didn't have a full pocket and didn't cost him the match, clearly, because he won the match, but it put him on the back foot when he missed it. I don't think there's a lot of room here. Exactly the same thing.
Jack Jones.
Same scenario as John Higgins, although he went the other way and missed it because he's worried about hitting the ball. Now, is that a plot twist or not? Bingham's been out of sorts, out of the game a little bit. Now a chance has come.
He was out of his chair like lightning there, Bingham.
1. Yeah.
Would have been unthinkable for him to lose this session after the start he made. That is now a possibility, so this is an important visit for the former champion.
Seven. 8. 14. 15.
So what an opportunity that Bingham has found himself with. Not really anything good that he done to create it, but it doesn't matter. Been starved out of any table time. And then Jack Jones made that mistake.
22.
Blue didn't quite go into a full pocket.
23. 30. 31. 38.
'A bit of a stretch. Get the feeling it's about this next shot and how he gets on a colour to get on the left-hand red. It's where the frame will be either won or lost, I think.
$39.
Well, that's not bad, in fact, at all. I mean, it's one of those shots you can either be on it in the middle and the corner, or you could end up right in between the two. But now I think he played it quite well. The crowd didn't really respond to that shot, but I thought it was accurate.
But
they like that one. And of course, he wants to be on the blue because with the yellow, it doesn't really go, does it, anywhere except for into opposite pockets? Because the yellow pocket will now be cleared by the blue being potted here. It's been a good break for a player that's been kept cold.
52.
Jack Jones turned to be concerned about a frame slipping away that he seemed close to clinching for a 4-3 lead, and his fourth in a row. Took on the blue, past the green, but caught the green. So this brown and the blue. And Bingham will be back in front with a guaranteed share of this session.
61.
He'd have certainly had loftier ambitions at 3-0 up, particularly given the balance of play, but Jones has mounted a very spirited fight back. Looks like it's ending here, though, for now.
66.
Yes, and I think it's kind of role reversed a little bit, isn't it, now, because Jack Jones will be a bit aggrieved. He made a good break, couldn't quite put the frame away, but Bingham has done exactly 72. That in return.
He's taken these very well. Jack Jones led by 43, but Stuart Bingham showing his class once again, clearing the table with 72, back in front with one frame to come at 4-3.
Stuart Bingham to break. Settle down, please, and take your seats.
And now the goal is to have a two-frame advantage to take into tomorrow afternoon's resumption. The psychology in a session can change quite rapidly from frame to frame. If you'd offered Jack Jones a 5-3 deficit when he was 3-0 behind and staring down the barrel of 4-0, I'm sure he would have ripped your arm off. But of course, the mentality is different now. Mistake from Bingham. And he's got lucky. Could easily have left the red. That's gone wrong.
It's a horrible mishit because it's one of those again where your cue doesn't come through right. I mean, he wanted to kind of wedge the cue ball between green and brown, and he's not even covered it. He's disgusted with the shot. It's almost a flashback to the early frames. It wasn't easy. It's a bit tricky when the balls are so close together.
One.
Bingham has got the edge again. It's kind of swapped three ways this match. All Bingham, all Jack Jones, and now Bingham is back on top. And I think a 5-3 lead. I think you were saying, you know, at 3-0 he wouldn't have been happy with it. But the way it's gone since then, he'd be delighted with it.
He's done most of the scoring. That 79 clearance just now was his third big break of the evening to go with the 76 and the 94 in frames 1 and 2.
7.
The most significant break of the evening in many ways was the 40 that Jones made, because it transformed the balance of the session. But now Bingham threatening to wrest control of things again.
$14. 15.
Well, he's got so much on that. It's black to the middle. I mean, I think it's because that shot earlier where he tried to run through the bunch and didn't go far enough. This time he was not going to get stuck in the reds. He's going to try and sneak this to the middle and keep the break going that way, I think. Yep.
Stuart Bingham.
It's always
15.
near jaw, wasn't it? He leapt up in the air as soon as he hit it, because he missed one against O'Sullivan last night into that pocket, just as at the point where he was going to win the frame to get 13-10. He missed it really badly, a long way in front from the pink spot, hitting the same sort of place. But he still won that frame and match.
1. Six. Seven.
Well, he's overdone that a little bit, but he's okay. At least he's not awkwardly placed over the red.
$13. Absolutely, yeah.
Jack is asking for Marcel Eckardt to just respot it. I don't know if it will make any difference. I'm sure he thinks it is on the spot, but he's worth a try. Can he get through? Very tight. Probably. But not definitely. It looks to me as if there's enough full ball of the red available.
14.
So you can understand why he wanted that respotted. He wanted to hold for the pink. I think at 4-all it would be a relieve Jack Jones more so than a ecstatic Stuart Bingham.
The session was threatening to swing back Bingham's way before the missed black just now.
$21. 37.
Just gave that one a bit extra to ensure that he was the correct side of the blue. But now he strangely would like to have been a bit straighter on the blue to hold for the red by the pink. Can he get through to that red? It wasn't played with a lot of pace or maybe belief he would get on one. There is a gap through. I think it's possible he can pot this, you know. Yeah. Trace of right-hand side. Widen the angle a bit. It's another break made without the use of the black. It's been awkward for a while. Ever since Bingham tried to roll it to middle, it's been stuck there.
$39. $40. $46.
Stuart Bingham concerned now that he's not going to have an advantage, which seemed almost inevitable at one stage in this session. He looked relaxed, serene, was cueing smoothly, was scoring heavily, was punishing Jack Jones many mistakes.
47.
But Jones has turned it around very impressively after that gutsy 40 break, which could have gone wrong on any number of occasions, but he showed his mettle and it gave him the boost of confidence that he needed to start to play the way he has throughout this championship. Now he's getting himself into a position where he can emerge entirely unscathed from this first session.
$53.
The arena has a very different look about it now. A brand new experience for Jones. And maybe that played its part
54.
in the tentative opening he made, but he's looking at home now. Still a bit of work to do, though, to clinch this frame. 39 the lead.
Yeah, and he didn't play to move the red there. I mean, he could have done. It was natural, but he, if anything, tried to avoid the red. He won't need it. He gets on these two. So again, that's match play for you. Don't play a shot you don't need to play. Had Bingham been at the table
59.
this many behind, he would have definitely moved the red out.
Frame ball.
60.
Stuart Bingham had the chance. Tried to cosy the black in to the right centre, but it drifted to the jaw.
$66. $67.
He's definitely one of the most improved players around. I mean, okay, a year ago was when all the improvement really started, getting to the quarterfinals. A couple of years ago, you wouldn't have thought he'd be here today. There's no evidence of it in any of his matches.
72.
And finishing the session with his highest break of the session. but it was the 40 break he made that changed this session around. A session of fluctuating fortunes. Stuart Bingham led 3-0, but Jack Jones has taken 4 of the last 5 of the session. And so we're tied up at 4 each after session 1. They're back tomorrow afternoon. Both semi-finals right in the balance.